So we're here today with Mr. Mike Hymel, who was former L&D engineer on the Supreme branch, the Houma branch, and the Lockport branch. And what years were you an engineer?
From 1989 to 1989 to 1998.
All right. So about 10 years. And the first thing we're going to do is start off talking about the Napoleonville branch, which was also renamed the Supreme branch because it terminated at Supreme. Mr. Mike, you were telling me about some businesses further down the line from Supreme.
Correct.
While you were an engineer. Tell me about those businesses.
Well, that was before I started with the Southern Pacific. They used to go all the way to Glenwood, which that was in Napoleonville. They had a sugar mill.
Okay.
But I don't know what year they stopped operating. I do know they went that far because I had an uncle who used to be an engineer on that line.
All right. So we had a customer that was a sugar mill beyond Supreme Sugars. So what we'll do on this Napoleon branch is we're going to work our way back to Thibodaux. And so let's talk a little bit about Supreme. I have a few questions myself on that one.
All right.
Now, I believe, what did you have, 4 or 5 car trains of the air slide hoppers?
It all depended. When grinding was on, we might get up to sometimes 12, 15 cars.
12 cars going one way to the plant.
We'd bring loads in, raw sugar, and bring empties out.
And do you remember some of the road names of those? Were they like color? Were they always gray?
They come out of Florida.
They came out of Florida?
Yeah, that Florida East Coast, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, the FEC.
FEC,
Florida
right.
East Coast.
Right. And we had tanks that hold the
Oh, so the liquefied. So they also received tanks and molasses.
Yeah.
So the Supreme Sugars got all of those types of freight cars at one point or another.
Right.
And so about how many tank cars maybe would you have?
Average, weekly maybe 10.
10 a week.
10 a week.
But you had a daily run there and back during the week, every weekday, right?
It just all depended if it was grinding or not. If they was getting sugar out of Florida, for a while they got sugar out of Patuville.
Right.
So it just all depends where they was getting the sugar from and what time of the year it was. Grinding was usually the busiest one. We'd have a lot more cars.
Uh-huh.
And in the middle of the summer, it would kind of peter off a little bit where there was just a few cars.
Now, there was a time where it was kind of dormant for rail service, right? And then in the later years, it was strictly the raw sugar and those hoppers, right? You didn't have tank cars anymore. It was just those hoppers. And how many cars would be on that train going back and forth?
Daily average, maybe 8.
So you could have up to 8.
Right.
So like 4 to 8 cars, depending.
Right. It just depended on the time of
time of year.
Time of the year it was.
Okay, cool.
Like I said, grinding was our busiest time. We did a lot of.
So the next area that we would hit if we were coming back towards Thibodaux would probably be that canal branch, right?
Right.
And so that canal branch terminated near what is today the foundry. And what customers were on that branch, or what types of cars were you sending over there that you can remember?
We had, if I can remember right, we had brick cars and lumber cars.
So bricks and lumber.
Yeah.
So there was a lumber company there.
Right.
Frost Lumber. Was it Frost Lumber?
Frost was one of them.
So Frost, was that the last customer on this spur?
They had another one right at the very end of it where we had to go over Jackson Street and put some cars in that spur. But for the life of me, I can't remember what we spotted.
And you don't remember what types of cars you spotted over there?
Box cars.
Box cars. Right. So it was for lumber
Frost
company.
handled box cars and gondolas because they had sand, gravel, and then lumber in the box cars. Yeah, we had gondolas and box cars. I can't remember.
That's all right. We can always come back to that. But that's good information. A lot of us don't know about that spur because it was gone before
you
our
could
time.
actually go over Jackson Street where the bridge is, the old bridge. About 3 or 4 car lengths. The tracks went over,
tracks went over the bayou?
No, went over Jackson Street.
Oh, right, along
Right
in the
along.
street.
In order to show the cars back and spot up.
Okay.
Whatever it was we spotted, I guess I just can't remember what it was.
That's fine. That's very valuable information there. So there was a Louisiana cane spur, and I believe actually that was before Canal Street, so I kind of skipped around. That was was that Light and Sugars?
Yeah, Leighton Sugars had a spur fault at one time.
Is that what they would call the Louisiana cane spur?
That could have been.
Okay.
But that would have been through on the SP,
But that was only active when you were with SP.
Right.
And what years were you with the SP?
From 74 to 89.
So Light and Sugars was only serviced in the SP days. L&D didn't have anything to do with it. And was that spur was pulled when L&D picked it up before they came?
Right.
So the spur was not in existence when it was under L&D ownership. And so now we move down to National Beverage. Do you recall when that company stopped having service? Was that within a year before Supreme closed? I don't remember you serving it that late.
It was right around the same time.
And what were you averaging, like one boxcar a week or something?
One, maybe two.
Maybe two. And that was pretty much beer, strictly
right.
beer. So
what got that was it was the service that they was getting from the railroads. They could get it faster by truck.
Right.
Not only that, whenever we bring beer cars to Schriever's, if somebody found out about it, they'd break into the cars over the weekend. So
have a good time, huh?
But it wasn't too much, too long before Supreme shut down and we quit servicing those people.
So about within a year.
Yeah, I guess you can say within a year.
Okay, and that's what people are saying out there. Now, I guess Jimbo says he remembers when he was a kid, there was on a particular day a large cut of tank cars on the train going to Napoleonville, or in that direction, so I guess going towards Supreme. And he never saw anything like it before, never saw it again. He wanted to know if they were going to storage. But a large cut of tank cars on the train. Do you remember hauling an extremely large amount of tank cars one particular time?
No, I don't.
All right.
He's talking about with the L&D?
Yeah, he said it was behind L&D. So one of the branches, you must have seen it in Schriever. A branch, and what you guys might be surprised to know is they had 100-car tank trains going down to Houma.
Hopper cars.
Hopper cars.
Mostly hopper cars.
Okay, so 100-car hopper trains. And what were those hoppers carrying? Mud?
Yeah, for drilling mud.
For drilling.
For IMC.
So we're kind of segueing into that Houma branch. Now, before we get to that, there's talk of the poo-poo choo-choo operation, and I believe they stored that in Labadeville.
Right.
And so was there a siding in Labadeville?
Only to switch out the cars.
That was like a runaround track?
That's what we used it for, runaround track.
And so you stored those cars?
For a while, yeah.
What kind of cars were those?
That's cars that they got from off the East Coast that had sludge in it.
And so, like, were they hopper cars?
No, it was gondola.
Gondola.
Yeah,
So open top gons. About the poo-poo choo-choo, I didn't know that there was one on the Supreme branch.
Right.
The only one I knew of was Donaldsonville on the UP. So are you saying, did they switch it from Donaldsonville and moved it to Supreme, or is this a totally different operation?
Well, it's a different operation.
Okay.
Like I said, originally they wanted to set up a facility right past Supreme to unload these gondolas. When the people of Labadeville raised so much hell that they quit doing it after a while.
So that little tiny town of Labadeville cost us the poo-poo choo-choo.
That's it.
Probably killed the Supreme branch altogether.
Well, it didn't
Because
help.
with Supreme gone, if we would have had that poo poo choo choo, we could have kept it open.
Right.
There would have been a reason for it.
Probability.
Now somebody's saying that Marine Shale and Amelia, which is milepost 75, offered to unload those cars and store them because they had double track between the main line and their facility. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know.
So that might be a little bit later after
Right,
your
yeah.
time.
Yes,
So that is the scoop on the poo poo choo choo. So Jimbo says he thinks he sees some evidence of possible siding or a second track.
There was a sighting around St. Bernard. That's right, there was.
And that was just, you have any idea what that was for?
That was just a runaround track.
As a runaround?
Track and a storage facility whenever Layton was being served by the SP.
So when Layton was being served by the SP, they stored some of the
They
cars
stole some
there.
of the cars.
So that's what that was for.
Right.
Interesting story about a derailed car that hit a house near Camellia Drive. There's a rumor going on that a derailed car hit a house near Camellia Drive, but not to your knowledge.
Not to my knowledge. No.
So I think that's a myth, and we debunked it. Any other customers that you remember on the branch during your time that we didn't talk about for Napoleonville?
That's about it. I think we covered everything.
So I think we covered Napoleon branch. So I'd like to move on to the Houma branch for those that are interested in that. So we had 100-car trains of mud for drilling going down there.
IMC.
Any other customers you can think of? That was for IMC.
Right. And Dresser Mega Bar used to get box cars full of drilling mud. We used to spot drilling mud in box cars at the old yard in Houma, the old Houma yard.
Okay.
And beerite. We handled a bunch of beerite in the beginning.
Beerite, what is that?
It's kind of like cement when you roll over it and it packs.
Uh-huh.
They used it in the oil field and then drilling.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what it's used for, but we used to handle a lot of beerite. Arlene Clark on Industrial Boulevard, and like I said, IMC, and we had Terrebonne Lumber. We used to bring them a bunch of sand and gravel. And before Southdown shut down, Southdown was the king. I mean, that's all we had to spot them twice a day.
Oh, wow.
And you could, if you had all your work done by 12 o'clock, you didn't leave that place until after 2 o'clock. If you did, you lost your job.
Wow.
That's we had to spot.
So that was a really busy
that was a big
line.
outfit.
That was a really busy line. Lots of customers, lots of rail cars.
And we thought that once the Southdown shut down, the branch would close, but
It stayed open for quite a while.
that's when all the oil field picked up, and that's when all this mud and beerite and all this stuff picked up, and we was glad that Southdown had shut down. We wouldn't be able to handle it.
And then the community fought to close the line down. Is what I have the newspaper article.
Yeah.
They were debating on whether or not to keep it open. There was only like 2 or 3 cars a week, I think, towards the end there. And the community pushed to close it.
Right, and it's a mistake that they made. They realized it after they did it because they got raped by the truckers.
Yeah.
So
So that was a sad day for a very viable line. They could have kept it open, and probably today
It would
it would be gangbusters today with the oil coming back and everything.
exactly right.
So finally, as you all know or have figured out by now, that L&D serviced all 3 branches, the Houma, the Napoleonville, and the Lockport branch. So most of y'all know about the Lockport branch in quite a bit of detail based on Jumbo's accounts of it. But we can go ahead and talk to Mike about the Lockport branch. So as we know, Valentine Paper was one of the customers. Then you had Valentine Sugar Mill. What was that sugar mill actually called there? It was next door to the paper. Oh, there was the sugar mill. There was the paper mill. Now, was it something else before it was a paper mill? Or did they do something different?
Not that I know
So they always got box cars. They get a few tank cars too.
Right, right.
The
Chlorine,
chemical wash for the
chlorine
paper,
and
right?
something
To
else,
clean it.
right.
I guess they clean the paper or something.
Right, right.
And then the sugar mill just got molasses, I guess, right? Or did it?
Molasses and raw sugar.
So
Right, they got.
that came out of the mill.
They got. Well, what they did, they processed it. They went out as
So it was a processing facility
sugar,
like Supreme.
white sugar. All right.
Okay. And then those were the only customers on that branch, right? Except for up near at the head end of the branch, there was the other sugar mill and the post office track.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that
That
was
lumber. That was
lumber,
Dufresne, right?
Dufresne. That was Dufresne.
So Dufresne lumber is
Not
there,
different.
and the post office track, and then I forget the name of the sugar mill that's there in Raceland. Is it Raceland Raw
Well,
Sugars?
Well, it was Raceland. Yeah, Raceland Raw Sugars. Bill Patu bought that, and then it had the mill in Valentine. Well, it's Valentine sugar, and then they had the Valentine paper in Lockport. Well, it's what Gaines, but past Gaines. We call it Lockport, but it's way past
Lockport.
Lockport.
And but then the sugar mill at the top that was just molasses mainly, tank cars.
Yeah, mostly molasses.
No, I always remember seeing a long string of box cars on that lead coming off the main. I'm sure you had to move them, so you remember they were in the way.
Well,
Well, there's a siding, I guess,
well,
alongside.
in the beginning, there was always boxcars in that siding, and it was a storage track
Oh, okay.
until the L&D took it over, because the SP wasn't charging the paper mill for the storage.
So this paper mill was storing those
Storing
box cars there.
But when the L&D took it over, they started charging it, and it was just too much. They couldn't. So as they needed them, they get them in.
Okay, yeah.
Very, very. Now they have the whatever business that they're serving now with the. I think it's hopper cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a new
Yeah,
business
Slumberjee, I
out
believe,
there. Yeah, yeah. There's we it's like it's a gravel or something. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't even know
But
what
yeah, it's a big business over there now.
Because it was, but the time that I was there, it wasn't anything other than that.
Right. Yeah, this is brand new, maybe
Right.
10 years.
Matter of fact, I think they're building a storage tank terminal.
Yes,
too.
they're building a terminal off the Lockport branch, or near the Lockport
Yeah,
branch. I don't think they're going to run on the Lockport branch. They're pulling that out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which would have been cool if they'd have left it and rebuilt it, and they could have had the terminal closer to the shore. But that's the way it goes.
That's it.
That's big corporate making bad decisions. So I think that covers everything. So, Mike, I want to thank you for answering our questions.